of the things that frustrates me about politics is that everyone assumes that if you agree with the Democrats on one thing, then you agree with them on everything. But if you agree with the Republicans on something, then you must agree with them on everything. And I'm probably committing suicide by saying this, but I think things that would agree with both sides, at least at times. For example, I think that we should end abortion and provide services for poor moms. I think we should fight for religious liberty and increase minimum wage. These are just my opinions, but I think that we should support law enforcement and fight to end racism. I think we should care for immigrants and decrease crime. I think we should use the resources that God has given us and find ways to protect our environment. But our society is not okay with that. They're not okay with you moving back and forth on your opinions. They want me to pick a side and blindly support whatever that side says. Well, I won't do it. To make matters worse, I've just admitted to you that I think some things that you probably disagree with. So you have a choice. We can find common ground in these conversations, or we can do what the news media wants us to do and separate ourselves from each other. Talk bad about each other. Because they demonize the people that you disagree with. And they do it so that you will watch them more. They're fear-mongering and hate-mongering. They just do it to get your attention, to make you watch more. Christians, we have to be willing to reject their narrative, to adopt a come as you are mindset, just like Jesus modeled for us. One of Jesus' followers was a zealot, and another one was a tax collector. Those are opposite sides of the political spectrum of their day, but they both found common ground in the mission of Jesus. They could agree in their mission to follow Jesus. But here's the reality. To vote, to participate in a democratic election, we have to pick our battles. We have to decide which of these issues is important enough to determine who we will vote for. Because there is no politician that I agree with 100% of the time. So I think there are 4 ways that we can choose from to decide which issues will determine who we vote for. The first option is to look at personalities. We can just ignore the issues altogether and vote for the politician that makes us feel good or that we can relate to. Well, guess what? That's how Hitler had such a huge following. Well, he's a good leader and he's good looking. I'll just vote for him. Or, number 2, we can rely on groupthink. We can just follow the crowd. If I vote for the candidate that all my friends are voting for, then I won't ruffle any feathers and everything will be fine. Until it's not. Because the crowd gets it wrong a lot. The crowd shouted, "Crucify him," about Jesus. Or number 3, we can count the amount of agreement that we have with a politician. We can count up all the issues that we agree with a politician on and vote for the person that we agree with on the largest number of issues. And this one isn't bad, but I don't think it's best. The 4th option I can think of is to prioritize issues, issue prioritization. What I think we should do is pick the issues that we think are most important and within reason, vote for the people who are on the right side of the most important issues. What issues affect the most people? For me, the question that determines who I will vote for is, how can we do the most good for the largest number of people? So because the issue that I'm most passionate about is abortion, let me use that to do the math on this area. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine who is pro-choice. And he said that he thinks abortion is necessary because abortion saves lives of women. He said that abortion keeps women from depression that leads to suicide And he said that abortion keeps women from dying from pregnancy complications. So I did a few quick Google searches, and I'm no expert on this, but my search showed me that every year in America, there are more than 600,000 abortions. Sometimes it's many more than that in a year. Do you know how many women die from pregnancy complications every year? Less than 700. I know I didn't believe that number either, and somebody may fact check me and tell me it's wrong, but that's what the CDC said. And that's all types of pregnancy complications, not just the ones that would have been saved with an abortion. And these numbers are CDC, so I'm not making these up. And do you know how many women commit suicide every year? It's about 10,000 women that commit suicide every year. Do the math. It's not even close to the over 600,000 babies that are aborted. We're doing the most good for the most number of people. So even if all the suicides are a result of babies who were born, and all of the deaths from pregnancy complications would have been saved through abortion, abortion still ends much more life than it saves. And they will say that ending abortion will increase the suicide rate, and they'll increase the deaths from delivery complications. But there is a whole lot of increase from 10,000 to 600,000 or more. To me, the math is obvious. Now, don't hear me wrong. I am not saying that you should only vote based on what you think on the issue of abortion. Because after you do abortion, after you figure out who you agree with on abortion, then you have to decide if there are any other issues that you could vote on that would actually affect more lives, that would actually help more people than ending abortion. And I'm not going to go through every issue and try to make a judgment call for you and do all the math to figure out which issues are most important. You also have to then figure out if it's even possible to end abortion. Or will the candidate you're voting for even do anything about it, or are they just saying it? Will voting for based on abortion even save one life? So this is incredibly complex math. This is a hard conversation. And you have to do the math on global warming. To what extent is it hurting people? Can we do anything about it? What about immigration? What would we help more people by doing, by increasing immigration or by decreasing immigration? How many people can we help? You have to ask yourself, does law enforcement save more lives or does it take more lives? And on and on. You have to add it all up and decide which candidate will help the most people. And some of these to you don't even have to think that hard. They're just going to be obvious right off the top of your head. Other of them will take some prayer and some research to figure out how you're going to vote on these issues. Then there are other issues that are just distractions. They're just made up political talking points to get you to vote for somebody. So can you imagine being Jesus in our world, trying to decide who to vote for? Jesus knew the absolute truth on every issue. But there were only a few issues that he chose to fight for. He prioritized. I bet Jesus had an opinion on every issue. For example, he had an opinion on taxes. But when the religious leaders asked him to give his opinion or to fight on their behalf, he just told them, pay your taxes. When everybody wanted him to become a political activist, he wouldn't do it. In fact, Jesus was surprisingly silent on the political issues of the day. He just told them, obey your government leaders, for God put them there. Then he put spiritual matters above everything else. We have to put the most important things first. And we do this to seize our moment. God put us in this time for a reason. Jesus seized his moment, and he did it by neglecting earthly politics. Now, I do think Christians should vote. Not because Jesus told us to vote, but because he told us to obey our earthly leaders, and our earthly leaders, told us to vote. So obeying them means vote. But that doesn't mean that we should completely give ourselves to the most popular political issues and opinions of the day just because that's what the news happens to be talking about. We have to seize our moment to lead people to Jesus. And we do that by loving as many people as possible. By loving as many people as we can, even with our vote. Today, I think the church in America spends more time slandering its moment and criticizing people than savoring its moment and reaching out to people, than thanking God for the time that we live in and the mission that we've been given to. We're so angry that our political leaders don't govern the way we think they should, so we get distracted from what really matters, and we make them our enemy. They are not our enemy. They are sick people in need of a hospital. They are lost people in need of Jesus. They are our target, our audience. And when the church is always nagging government, protesting this, canceling that, then our voice is muffled. Eventually, they'll start ignoring us altogether. And if you want to see a totally depraved world, just wait until the Christians have no voice at all because we've yelled about everything. Did you know that in Europe, opposition to abortion is considered hate speech? We're not there yet, but if we keep talking like we hate everyone and we hate everything especially that we disagree with, then they will start labeling more and more of our opinions as hate speech. We have to pick our battles. And don't get me wrong, I think the whole hate speech movement is idiotic. But what if Christians became so known for their desire to love and to care for as many people as possible that we changed our reputation? That no longer did they claim that we were purveyors of hate speech, but that we are purveyors of love speech. Love speech. That's our language. Let's make it obvious and prioritize issues that will show love and care for the most possible people. I know we're in a political series, in a political time, but my hope is that we can rise above political disagreements and talk about what will do the most good for our world. Not for us, but for the people that we've been called to love. I hope that your discussion today is graceful and that it brings excitement to be a part of the eternal mission that we are called to. And I'll see you Sunday in church.